What up, though? It's Dwan and we are back with another episode of Speak for Yourself with some very special guests. But before we swing to them, introduce Saginaw Swollenness.
What's happening?
The one and only Ken Elkins. Beth, Marlyn.
Yeah.
Thank you both for joining us.
For sure.
One of the ways that we like to kick it off is we like to ask our guests to introduce themselves to our audience in whatever way you would like, or however you would like them to know you. So, Beth, let's start with you.
All right. My name is Beth Brandvain. I come to Black Leaders Detroit through some friends that Dwan and I share, David Contour and Richard Kaiden, and through my love of cycling and community service and meeting people and having a great time. That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and I'm Marlyn. I love Black Leaders Detroit, BLD for life. So I am a health and fitness ambassador, and I'm just teaming up with the work they're doing to be a part of it any way I can to get the word out, and that's what I'm doing here.
So Beth, you are an experienced cyclist. How long have you been into cycling?
Well, I think when I learned to ride my bike, I was probably, how old are people when they learn to ride their bike? So
I learned it once. I learned it like one.
I bet
I was
you
a little
did.
bit advanced.
I bet you were. I probably didn't learn till I was 5 because I'm just not. I've always liked riding. I think when I look back on my life growing up, I remember I had a green Raleigh bike that I rode to Palmer Park because we didn't live too far from there. I remember in high school riding my bike to high school. I remember in college I had a friend whose dad was in the bike business, and he lived in Waterford, and he used to ride his bike home from East Lansing to Waterford on the weekends, and I'm like, whoa, that guy is like crazy. And the next thing you know, I'm doing the same thing. So I've always loved biking, but my relationship with cycling really changed in 1999 when a family friend of ours who was 17 lost her battle with cancer, and she had a wish from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which led me to start a team or a group of riders to ride to raise money for Make-A-Wish. That became a huge community endeavor. We grew to over 100 riders, and 26 years later we're still doing it. And what I discovered through that is that to some people, bicycling is just like a great form of exercise, which it is, but it's also a wonderful tool to develop community, to do good deeds, to raise money, and to allow other people to learn about the things that you're involved with. So in addition to Make-A-Wish, I've done many other charity rides, and through that, the people, your friends who aren't riding, get drawn in because, of course, you tell them about the organization as you ask them to make donations. And I'm proud to say that I think a lot of my friends now are more aware of Black Leaders Detroit, and some of them will be participating this year.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Excited about that.
Me too, I think.
And so, Marlyn, with you being a new rider, right? So when did you just start riding? I'm sure you probably rode a bike as a young person, but as an adult, did you just start riding just recently, or how long have you been riding?
So I ride to, well, of course I have children, so I have like a rider on the back. At times I have 3 kids in the back, and we rolling through Detroit all summer long, and just that's how I sightsee.
Okay. Say 3 kids on the back?
3 kids in the back.
On one
behind
bike?
you on different bikes?
No, they're in a wagon. So it's a cart. So it's a cart, and it's covered.
Oh,
so they were small. They were like
little kids because those carts are for 2, you know.
They were like,
Right.
that's a biker. That's a biker in my helmet.
I don't think you're supposed to connect 3 of those carts.
No, it's one cart. It's one cart with 3 children. So like 1 year old, 2, and maybe 4. And they small kids, so they fit back there, seatbelt, you know. So I do that, and I did that just to, you know, be out there, and so then I commute to work. So most of my jobs are in the city of Detroit. I like to work in Detroit, and I like to work close by my house. So I commute to work. If they further out, I'll throw my bike on the bus, if, you know, when I was using public transportation and take it off right where I need to ride. And then I start riding. So then I start riding a little bit more because I start getting interested in seeing the cyclists around Detroit and then getting into the bike groups and the conversations. So you meet some amazing people that bike. So I just love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
So was Ride for Equity your first time riding like 50 miles at a time?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah. 50 miles, 90 miles, right? What was the longest day was like 90, was it 93?
The longest day was 69 miles.
It was 69?
Yeah.
It felt so much longer. 60, 70, 80. But okay,
69
yeah.
miles is pretty long. That's pretty far.
It felt so much more, but man, yeah, that was intense. I can ride for lengths of time. My thing is I wasn't acclimated to the hills. So I don't even like walking on a Stairmaster at the gym. So that was kind of rough. But I got it down packed after being put in the paddy wagon.
So what made you want to do the ride last year? The fact that you haven't ridden a bike further than 30 miles before or something similar to that. What made you want to do the ride last year?
Because I'm super ambitious.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to just do stuff. I'm spontaneous and super ambitious. And then once I make my mind up, you know, check in and you know, say, you know, this is doable, I just, you know, go for it. I like to challenge myself. I'm highly competitive too.
Okay. Well, that was a challenge. 377 miles. Your first day, you got put in the van on your first day.
In the paddy wagon.
The paddy wagon.
Oh, it was only for like 4 miles though, right?
Right.
Only for 4.
But the benefit of that is when you got out of it, you was like, you would never put me in this van again.
Ever.
And you never got in the van again. You was
Ever.
killing it from that point
Ever.
on. So great.
So Marlyn didn't have the advantage that new riders will have this year. I don't know when this is going to be shown, but all during the month of April and up until the weekend of the ride, there are training rides with experienced riders who are working to get anybody who's interested in riding and doesn't have the background or the stamina or the confidence. This is a great opportunity, and if you're thinking about the ride and you're like, oh, I'd love to ride, but I can't ride, I think if you reach out to the office here at Black Leaders Detroit, you will find that they can direct you to these great training rides on Belle Isle. And I think if Marlyn would have had that last year, there's no way she would have even been in the van for 4 miles. It's because it is better to show up with some experience, some knowledge, some understanding of the rules of the road, the way the group flows, and so it's different this year. Yeah. If you're thinking about it, even better.
And talk about that a little bit more, like just like you're saying, the importance of not just increasing your stamina through the ride, increasing your butt stamina on the seat, right? But also learning about the rules of the road, how to ride in a group, how to ride, next to a tire, so that you don't fall like Dwan. Like what, how he's been doing a ride forever.
Everybody falls.
He's still.
I saw some of the best was falling over like bloop.
Right. But how important is it? Why is that so important to learn all those things, to learn how to ride with others? Why is that so important, especially on busy roads? Well,
there's a big difference between riding your bike by yourself and riding with a group. Just kind of like when you're driving down the freeway, if the car in front of you is stopping, you'll see their brake lights. If they're turning, you'll see their signals. If there's a hazard on the road, there might be a sign that says road hazard. So when you ride in a group, in order to make it more efficient, you're all kind of close together. It's called a pace line, doesn't matter. But to take care of the wind and kind of help each other out, you can't see past the person in front of you. So they have to be aware and you have to be aware. For example, imagine that you're driving down the freeway and the car in front of you has no brake lights and hits the brakes. You're going to hit them. Same thing with the biking. So the people in the group need to understand each other, and they all need to have a basic understanding of what are the communications, what are the signals, how to handle it if somebody goes into a pothole, what to do when a car comes up, how to message everyone in the line. Very, very important. And you can be strong and you can have endurance and you can ride uphill and you can ride 30 miles an hour. But if you're with a group, you got to go with the rules of the road.
So Marlyn, can you talk a little bit about the way you felt with the support of the team, right? Being one of the riders last year without lots of experience, riding along with riders that had lots of experience. Did you feel like the other riders kind of rallied around you and supported you, and encouraged you, or how did that make you feel? What was that experience like from your perspective?
Amazing. I got tons of support. It was almost like I went behind, like, you guys are some really good riders. Like, your ride, you didn't mention, but it's 100 miles for 3 days, right?
Right.
You're a G. And so I was riding with people that you guys been doing this for like 25, 26, 30. So like even the guys, muscles on the calves was like, I'm like, did you buy those or those real? But just the support that everybody showed me. So like, it was almost like as the week went on, I would be behind 3, and then I would switch to another group, and then I would go to another group just to get the experience of everybody. And then I love a picture that they took, and it was like me going up a hill, because the hills were kind of tough for me. And then I didn't have to clip on shoes, so I had to really adapt to what was going on. I had to listen, and I had to learn, what was going on. And so a picture was one of the guys, Keith, put his hand on my back, and he said, "This is what we do so you won't lose momentum. So you just focus on going up." And I'm asking him 1,000 questions, like, "Can you please just focus on getting up the hill? Like, I'm struggling too." So, but then they captured that moment, and like the words behind it were something like, "Keep going," or just some inspiring words. Like, so it was amazing. It was some tough, scary moments. So I had to really focus, and I had to just zone out while I was being protective of the whole group. So that road etiquette is 1,000% important, because you can't hear when you moving. Like, the person in front of you, person behind me can't hear, and then staying in line, because at times, like, if I wasn't close enough to the tire in front of me drafting, like, I was pulling the weight, so it was like, I got to get up here and stay in line. So it was amazing.
So let me ask you something. Having done it that way, would you recommend that people come out unprepared and do the ride?
No, I think being prepared is a necessity. I could have benefited even training on elevation. It's a huge benefit.
Yeah, so, all right, so those are some of the things like on the riding side. So what was the experience like for the two of you after the ride, or during the breaks when we would pause and just hang out and interact and engage with the folks that was there that we know, and then the folks that we don't know? So that's like, for me personally, some of that is some of my favorite part. So what was that experience like? Start with you, Beth.
Well, Marlyn was alluding to something about when she rides and she meets people. And I always like to say every rider has a story. And when you're riding, especially for several days, you get to know people beyond, "Hi, how are you? Nice day, nice weather." You really get to find out what is it that motivates this person to be on this ride. And everybody's motivation is different, but it all at some point came to this Black Leaders Detroit moment. There were community leaders, there were individuals that wanted to give back because this organization has given to them. For me, I just feel like I need to meet people who are different than me. And my association with Black Leaders Detroit it's not the only way that I make those new contacts, but it's one of the ways. And I get to meet Marlyn. And I'm trying to think, were we the only women on the ride?
They went all the way. You two were the only women that went all the way.
So,
remember, there'll be some coming in and out.
Right,
you two were
right.
the only two that went all the way.
Give me some too,
Marlyn and I
Give me some. I need a pat.
Thank you. Marlyn and I share that distinction of having been the two women that did the whole ride. Met other women certainly can do it, and I hope that they'll have the opportunity. But yeah, I made some good connections. She mentioned Keith, and I've ridden with him since then, I think. I got to meet these guys. Well, Dwan I already knew, Ken, the other riders, and they all know things about me now that that they, maybe they wouldn't have known. Like they know that I like to eat lunch every day at lunchtime, and I know things about them. Like, am I the only one who likes to eat lunch at lunchtime?
I might be the only one.
I'm glad you did, because we got to eat lunch.
Might just be me.
Also, people will give tips on your riding. You'll discover different points of commonality that you have and points of difference. So it's an opportunity to spend time away from the computer, out of the car, outside, fresh air.
Yes.
Yeah. I always find there's a bit of peace that comes. It's interesting because once you push past, of course, being exhausted or sore or whatever the case may be, and then you find peace with either your music or, for me, it'd be sometimes just be my tires against the road or staring down, watching water splash, or just some place to go grab some peace during the ride. Do you guys find that you're doing that as well, like finding some peace to help you out in the ride, or is it just pretty much, performance?
Oh no, I think it's extremely meditative. Extremely.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing, I have tried a little at meditation. I can't say I've succeeded, but one of the reasons then I say, well, here, I'm with myself and with my thoughts on my bike, just going like this, going like this, going like this. And you can, first of all, it only takes a few minutes to leave all that stuff behind. You have so much to do, and you've got this, and your kids this, and all of a sudden it's like, it's all gone. And you're just doing this, thinking about nothing, or solving all the problems of the world, which I've done many times, although nobody's taken my advice.
I've incorporated lunch.
Yes, thank you so much.
And did you find personal pleasure in dusting us when you turned on the speed and was like, oh, let me go really fast and show these guys what I'm really made of? Because you held back most of the time. And then every once in a while, you would open up just to show us a little something.
Well, because it was all guys and just me and Marlyn, so I was doing it for the girls.
Right. She had to let you know.
But that was always especially when we go up the hills, you'd be like, you struggling, and I'm stopped, I'm done. And then your breath comes,
cruise past you.
Oh, hell no. Let me keep it moving. So it was very nice.
Hills aren't my specialty, but it worked out on those days.
Yeah. You did it, and your bike it has a distinctive sound, so you can hear when you're coming.
Click, click, click.
Yeah, it was motivation at times. It's like,
I think she do that on purpose to scare you.
To let you know.
I'm behind you.
Intimidate you.
I can pass you.
Right, whenever I want to. You hear my
you
bike.
hear it coming.
You hear my
It's kind of
bike.
scary.
And I'm just cruising. Because I think it makes that sound when you're cruising, right?
Yeah, when you're
stop pedaling.
when you
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
pedaling, it makes
So
a
she's
noise.
like, I ain't pedaling, and I'm right here.
And I'm right. I'm like,
It's really saying, because you are going so slow, I have to stop.
Right.
Right,
So I
exactly.
don't run you off the road. That's what it's really
That's exactly what it was saying.
So I think for me, some of my favorite times was in between and after the ride and just hanging out and having conversation. But to Ken's question, I during the moments of fatigue, I use images of the people that came out during the kickoff, right? The people that did that short send-off ride, which we hope many of you will do with us, that can't come out and do a 50-mile ride with us. I'll take snapshots of them. So when I'm getting tired, I have to remember something that they said kind of in passing, or that they came out at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning to see us off and just encourage us. And then the other thing that I'll do is think about some of the struggles that the Black entrepreneurs deal with and how they have to push through anyway, right? And show up anyway, even when they may be tired and it feels like the hills keep coming and the weather is not the best, or the wind is against you. You know what I mean? Those are some of the things that I do to kind of help motivate me to keep on going.
And we just think of Marlyn.
yeah, right. I understand.
You did it, and she was smiling, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for that
It
one
wasn't
time-
me in the
except for that
back.
one
I
time
kept
in
saying,
the
it's not
RV.
me.
Except for when she had to get
Not me in
an
the
RV.
back.
When she had to get an RV, she was
The
smiling.
one time in the RV, no, remember the Healy day when we first hit the hills? And I can't remember.
Leaving Claire,
Day 3,
maybe?
Day 4. When we first started hitting kind of like some really, really challenging hills. And she got on the camper because we had to slow down for a minute. And when she caught up, cause I think Richard fell back or somebody fell back to kind of like help her catch up with the group. And she got in the RV and she was like, I think the competitive side of her.
Oh yeah.
She had to get that out.
Oh
she
yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, what happened? I'm thinking something happened to
Like,
her.
failed.
It was like, no, she didn't. It was
Like
just
the
her.
Hulk when he used to.
Yeah.
It was
Right,
my
right.
lioness
I was
roar.
like,
Because the hills kept coming. I think that ride is going to go down in the books. Like, that was an amazing crew. I don't think we can imitate that again. And the time that we spent off from when we weren't riding, that was so amazing to me. Like,
was
eating
nice.
dinner together and just getting to know everybody. I love that.
Yeah. And Beth spent her birthday with us last year.
Yeah.
Too.
We're gonna do it again this year too, I believe.
It's gonna be nice. Are you going on? You're not going on a whole ride this year.
No, because I'm going on a bike trip
That's right.
on the Saturday.
Okay. So which days are you gonna be with us this year?
So-
wow.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about you when I'm in Glacier National Park. I'll be like, oh man, I could be in Mackinac again.
So what days are you joining us this year?
I'm probably doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Nice.
I might shift it all back one day,
which
Sunday,
day is
Monday,
your
Tuesday. My birthday is on the 22nd, so 19, 20, 20, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
No, Sunday, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
One of those days.
We'll be celebrating with us again. Awesome. We appreciate that. I mean, that means a lot right there, just even celebrating your birthday with us.
Yeah, because
Right?
I don't want to toot my own horn, but we passed a Dairy Queen on my birthday. And it's like my treat. Well, actually, my husband's treat too. Although,
And he didn't know he was treating. That's the funny part. He didn't know
When
he
his
was
phone
treating.
went ding, he
I
knew.
never saw so many people get such big things at the
Right.
Dairy Queen.
Give me a banana split in the middle of this ride.
Right.
The
Yeah.
biggest stuff they
There
know
you
they
go.
don't get.
They're still talking about us like, oh wow, that was the best day we ever had. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of
And the
fun.
ice cream was delicious, and birthdays are fun, and it's nice to be able to share them with other people.
Yeah. Nice.
Make sure we stop at that spot again.
Yeah.
First time we ride past, instead of
Oh
riding
yeah,
past,
we had to double back.
turn around
We had to
and go
double back.
right?
Yep.
I think there was some construction on that street. It was complicated, but we
Yeah.
were committed.
To the ice cream.
We were dedicated.
Ice cream.
We were going to get there, and we did.
Yeah, we're committed to the ice cream for certain.
Yeah.
So speak for yourself. I bet you hadn't been on another ride with all of your experience where you had community conversations like that afterwards.
This
Or
is
have you?
not like that. There have been other kinds of conversations, but not intensely personal. Rides I've been on where there have been community gatherings were more like just to show support or to maybe learn a little bit more about the organization. I was really,
Comfortable.
no, I don't think I was uncomfortable. I was sad to hear some stories from people. Not shocked. I mean, these are things we know. We know that black people don't have access to capital. That's why we're riding. We know that people struggle to keep their businesses open, and we know that people get left behind. You don't have to be black to get left behind. It does help sometimes, but just to hear people and to talk, and I thought one of our most interesting conversations was actually in Petoskey. In Petoskey, everybody that we met, and they were very kind people, and they even extended hospitality, and they were talking about how they'd like to have more diversity in their community. But there's really no place for the diversity right now. Up north right now is very expensive. I know that a lot of businesses up north are closing because there's no place for their employees to live on the wages they make. And if you're from the upper crust of, let's say, the black community or the Hispanic community or whatever, you're probably not particularly welcome at the country club where they're hanging out. So where is the space then for the diversity? I thought that was a really interesting thing to ponder, with no solution right now. Maybe over time. I mean, all these things over time. You see, even neighborhoods are changing. Used to be there's the white neighborhood and the black neighborhood and the Indian neighborhood and the Jewish neighborhood, whatever. The neighborhood I live is very diverse, but when I moved in, it wasn't. And so maybe things like that can happen in these smaller communities. But when they talk about wanting diversity, but there's nothing been created there to provide for that.
Yeah.
And I just thought there was something really something to think about.
Yeah. Plus it's so far up north. I mean, like, black folks go where?
Well, you
you
think about other places that's really high up there. But other places, Grand Rapids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of those places, not as far up north, but they have large black populations in those places.
They're separate.
The thing is, they are separate. But you have to have some intentionality, and it has to feel like a priority. You know what I mean? Like I have that conversation with business owners that want their companies to become more diverse. And what I say is similar to what you said. People that have options are, if your culture does not feel welcoming and inviting, they're going to take a different option. You know what I mean? Like people don't want to carry the weight of, all right, I have to work here and I have to answer or deal with all of the discomfort of working through some of the microaggressions, and then the other thing is just the ignorance is a heavy weight to deal with, because there's so much pain and whatnot that comes by way of us hearing things differently based on lived experiences, right? But Marlyn, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on Speak for Yourself conversations as well. What was that experience like in addition to the ride for you?
Yeah, I love those conversations. They were needed. And that was just a genius part of it, adding that at the end of each ride. Petoskey.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was genius.
I knew that was coming.
That's what's up.
I appreciate
Take that.
it. I don't mean to just
Take that.
boom, off the
Tears
dome,
counting down in my head.
Off the dome.
Petoskey was super tense. That was the most tense conversation and space. And I fit in most places, and I felt it was extremely tense. And it was funny because it's a couple hours up north, but then most of the people were from Royal Oak in Birmingham, so they super close to where we live in Detroit. And then it's super exclusive. So I'm riding through and I'm like, this $1 million house is about to be built right here. And I got super ambitious because when I see injustices or separations like that, all my mind just gets to churning. How can we bridge a gap? But then later I thought, why would we want to bridge a gap up there? Because I'm just being real. Is that an interest in something we would want to do? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just if people are so intentional about secluding themselves, that's a lot to work through, being someone of a different minority. Like you were saying, every day working or living and you're not wanted in that space, so why be there, So it's a lot.
I don't know that they're intentional about secluding themselves. I think they're intentional about wanting certain things that as a result become exclusive. But I don't think, and maybe I'm naive, I don't think that a person who dreams of a house on a lake in a really nice summer community dreams of only being with white people. I think it's a natural consequence of what it takes to get there right now.
You don't think some of them do, though?
I think some of them do.
For
I think that's I think that could be heavy for some people.
No,
Right.
Seriously.
There might be one or two of them that.
I think, I mean, no, I'm not saying that some of them, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that for me, for example, if I was going to go, let's say we were going to buy a summer home, I don't think we would look for a place that was all white, but I think those places are all white. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I think people have changed, but I wouldn't want to go to live in a community that was all something else. So it goes in many ways.
Yeah. It makes it definitely difficult when you talk about diversity, because you have to be the first,
And it's hard.
or a group of one of the first, right? And that is extremely difficult because you have a slew of people that welcome you, and you have a slew of people who don't welcome you, right? And so you might just want to be on vacation. I'm fighting battles every day at home. I don't want to fight a battle on vacation too.
Right.
So therefore I choose not to buy somewhere where I have to now fight another battle yet again, right? So let me just buy somewhere I can be comfortable. And I think that's probably lends to the struggle. Because me personally, I don't have anything against the area. I would never buy a home in the area though. And I don't want to be the first or the first 5. I want to be like the first 15.
But when you think about it, for example, communities here, Southfield, it used to be all white.
Yeah.
So there's hope, potential, whatever you want to call it, because people are changing and people are moving and very slowly. But I just thought that whole thing in Petoskey was interesting because everybody there seemed to want to have a black next door neighbor.
Yeah, they definitely did. It was definitely a get out moment.
But the reality is, gonna be something different.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it. So one of my biggest takeaways wasn't necessarily from last year, maybe the year before. The mayor actually came out that year, and one of the things that he said was when he applies for funding for Petoskey, he's accustomed to losing, his words, losing it to Detroit or Pontiac or one of the bigger cities. And as he was saying that, I was wrestling with kind of two thoughts, right? There's a part of me that's hey, being someone that's in Detroit, from Detroit, and then raised my family in Detroit, I was like, if it comes down to it, I want Detroit to win that, right? But I'm here hoping that our neighbors in Petoskey and Clare and Cadillac would be good neighbors to us. And I'm like, okay, Dwan, what does that challenge look like for you to be a good neighbor to the people in Petoskey, right? What does it look like for me to be concerned and care about them as much as I care about Detroit, right? So it's it doesn't work if I say I'm going to care about you, but as long as we're okay and you're not. I mean, I get the whole airplane principle of putting your own mask on first, right? I understand that.
But if the plane's not going down, you don't really need the mask.
You don't need the mask. Or if there's one mask, what is it? Is it possible for me to do this? Take a deep breath and hold it and do this, right? Or is it, you know what I mean? That's what we wrestle with.
Interesting.
And sometimes it's easy to say, well, we have had a more intimate relationship with struggle and disparity and lack. So that can't be a concern. But that doesn't work if I want to be a good neighbor to you, right? So that's the challenge that I took away from those conversations, saying, okay, what does it really look like to be concerned, and figure out how to cultivate, build relationships as we go places and we have connections. I mean, we get to know people when we go to Mackinac, and we get to sit with and talk to some of the politicians and the decision makers, right? I serve on the policy council, the poverty council for the state of Michigan, right? So now, as things come across and we make recommendations, I'm not just thinking about black people in Detroit, you know what I mean? I'm also thinking about some of the friends that I met and made when we were on our journey in this bike ride in other parts of the state.
Yeah, especially when you hear some of those friends that were in Petoskey saying they can't even afford to live there in that space. Yeah. And going back to what you said, you take money out the equation, that's a person. We're people and we need more, we need love, we need to care. Because no matter how much money that you may have, minus that, we still go through real life. And so we still need a connection to understand, even if it's to understand a fear. There's no fear, or whatever the barrier is, to just break that and have some understanding.
So question to Ken. So Ken, the ride is a lot of work, like for you, right? I know Sharia kind of come and taken a lot of that off of like your load, but the first couple years it was like mostly work and then trying to sneak some riding in along with that. Being able to like just more focus on the ride, but it's still being work. Like, what does the ride mean to you, and what experiences do you get that we probably haven't unpacked or talked about, like during the 7 days?
Mm-hmm. I think for me, one of the biggest things is being a part of our organization is to zoom out and see the allies that roll with you, right? Like that is, because a lot of times, quite often, you feel like you're dealing with something on your own. That can be your personal life, your business life, relationships. You feel like I'm on this road on my own, and those who aren't familiar with this road or this path won't even understand it or won't even have any empathy towards it, right? And so being raised with that kind of mindset, and as I'm growing older and having more experiences, like the bike ride, and you see allies from various races, genders, ages, whatever the case may be, that are there with you the whole way, right? Like through late starts, through late lunches, through getting somewhere and now having to change our clothes and go to a speak for yourself. Like, it's not smooth. It's not as smooth as we would like it to be, right? We're getting there, but it's not as smooth as we would like it to be. But all of those people was there with us the whole time, right? Like, all right, this is what we're doing and this is what we're doing. Yeah. And so when you can sit back and observe that, and it helps you, especially when we deal in this environment we're in now that's so divisive. You need things like that to show you that no, we are together.
Yes, sir.
We are. It's not everyone. They try to pit us all against each other, but we're not all against each other, right? And so that's when you can sit back and you can see that, and you can talk to people who you are two opposite areas of where your life started, right? And even maybe where you are at now in life, but together today during this ride, y'all are together, right? And so it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm glad that I'm a part of it, and that I can even be a part of arranging an event that can happen like that, right? And put it together. So this year, I think I'm a ride. I'll probably be in the van more than ride this year, because like I've done it twice. So I think this year I'd want to just sit in the van behind the cameras with those folks and look at it from that perspective and watch that. You know what I mean? And just see it from there versus always trying to be in the front or always trying to be in the back, and just a different way of watching it. So I'm looking forward to doing that this year.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say, like, personally, that makes me feel a lot safer. Knowing that you'll be inside, not on the road.
Yeah. As we try. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I don't know if our insurance company would like cover me on the ride if they know kids ride.
Like, no, we need y'all. Y'all can't ride together. Y'all can't ride together.
Wait, was that accident having to do with you?
Yeah, well, it's because Dwan was not paying attention to what he was doing.
No.
Right, as he was riding.
Like he just said, he was watching and focusing on the rain colors.
The water splashing
on his water splashing on his tires and listening to his radio.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, all of a
radio's
sudden I
not a
hear
good idea.
Dwan say, "Your back tire." Oh crap! And then
boom,
he was gone. And I was just like, promotion, yes. I feel bad, but that was the first thought that went. That was the first thought. CEO, I changed my card immediately. Right, that was my first thought, and then the next thought was, "Damn, let me go check on my boy."
I wanted to say something completely different.
What was that?
When we're talking about privilege and up north and how far up north it is, I was really struck, and this is my naivete. Somebody on the ride said, "I have never been this far up north." And I thought, that's crazy.
Yeah. Our first year was my first year going that far.
That's crazy. I mean,
That's
we
my-
live in
our
this
first year.
amazing state. It
Yep.
is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
And it's more beautiful up there. And everyone should have the opportunity to go and explore this beautiful state of ours. And to have this like line at Midland where
that's
the
about where
privileged
it's at.
can pass it
Yep.
and the others can't is really, that's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one of my friends who recommended we go and hang out in Traverse City. My first time taking the family up there for vacation. And when we got back, I talked to some of my friends who were white, and they're still white. I told them that.
Are they still your friends?
Still my friends. Still my friends. What I did say, I was like, you didn't tell me, it was like, I hardly know black people up there. You know what I mean? And he's like, and this is like somebody that like thinks through these things. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, it's not always on my radar. You know what I mean? Like they're not looking for, so Beth, you may not know that when we're in settings that are like very few black people, we look for each other. And if we see each other, we give a nod, right? And
We do that to the Jews.
I was wondering.
All the time. We start to count.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey,
But it's
like,
it's not as easy to pick us
Right,
out.
it's not as easy.
it's like, we be like, hey, like, we over here, you know,
You gotta
make
hear the
some
name.
noise.
You gotta hear the name first.
Yeah, make some noise or something if you, you know what I'm saying? So if it gets hot. But, like, so when you don't see, like, a lot of black people, so when we went up north, we went to Traverse City. So me and my family have been up north several times now. But we were in Traverse City, and we went to this beach that someone was telling us about. They were like, you gotta go to this beach, it's amazing, it's beautiful. So we got there, and as we were riding through like the little streets to get to the beach where you park and get out, people were really stopping what they were doing and slowly watching our car ride past. And if you've ever been somewhere and it's almost like you get there and there was music playing, even though there's no music playing, and the record cuts off, you know what I mean? That's what it felt like, and that's what it sounded like. So as we got out the car and started to take our gear out, like our blanket and the toys for the kids and whatnot, buckets and shovels and all of that, it just didn't feel safe. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's get back in the car and take off. But there were other places that we went that felt very inviting and very welcoming. But, you know, it wasn't worth like taking a chance and hoping that it was going to be okay.
What did you think was going to happen?
I thought worst case scenario, it could become very dangerous, right? If someone would approach us and try to intimidate us to leave, like my response is always going to be like defend my family at whatever cost that means and get them to a safe place. So if I feel threatened, like I could respond in kind, right? And who knows? I mean, the whole birth of Speak for Yourself came from me being scared about like riding through like parts of the state alone. You know what I mean? So, and that was me just worried about Dwan. So imagine me being worried about
Your family.
exactly. You know what I mean? So
And it's also the reality where Speak for Yourself came from, is the reality that in a lot of cases, we're from people of from all areas are just going on something they heard, but not necessarily know.
Well, that's the way the world
That's
turns.
the way the world turns, right? So just like you were saying, I remember when we were, my family went to Montana. And of course, you've never ever heard of a black person going to Montana. I've never ever heard of it. So I'm like, crap, like this is gonna, this is the first time I've ever been scared for my family. And so I'm really worried, and I'm talking to, again, some friends. And my white friends are all looking at me like, why are you so worried about this? Like, what's the big deal, kid? And I'm like super worried. Long story short, to get to Montana, super welcoming in every single place that I went to. Not one place did someone look at us crazy, right? Super welcoming, even in spaces just kind of like when we were in.
That's because your code switch would be so extra.
No. No. But even in places just like when we were up near Torch Lake, to where you done already checked out because you assume the people don't want to speak to you.
Yeah.
So then I found myself just being non-friendly because I know you don't want to speak with me. Just like when we were at Torch Lake, and the gentleman spoke to me, but I ain't hearing them because I know they don't want to speak to me.
Exactly.
Right. So it's that type of situation to where I think at times we can build up so much negative thoughts in our head and it affects that, just like when we say when people from the north come to Detroit, they have a idea about Saginaw, about Flint, about Pontiac, about Detroit, and what they're going to encounter in those places. And so they come looking for that. Yeah. And I found that I tend to do the same things at times.
Yeah.
This ride gives the opportunity to bring Detroit to Petoskey,
Yep.
if Petoskey doesn't want to come to Detroit. And I think annual visits to these communities are a very small but significant step into kind of saying, hey, look, we went to that, like a food court or whatever.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I think, I won't say we, my group was the only group that had black people in it.
There
was one other.
There was one other black guy. It was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was with us.
Right.
You thought he was with us?
But
He gave a nod and he came to talk to us.
Right.
what are you doing here?
But
But in that space of that food court, did you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I felt that it was.
yeah,
I didn't see any. I mean, I don't know because maybe I don't pick up on everything. But I thought this is really nice.
I was comfortable, and so we're also coming with the group, which gives a sense of security and safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was our third time.
Yeah.
Our third time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a third time, and we have different experiences of our own to combat some of the narrative, right?
Yeah.
So when you've done that, now it's like, okay, like you have that to lean on to where this starts to become your expectation.
Right.
And that's some of the healing for me personally that I get to experience in doing the ride. So if you are not interested in necessarily just the ride for the sake of the exercise, hopefully the camaraderie will tempt you. But also if you want to challenge the narrative in a limited way that you view, if you're anything like me, and your expectations of our neighbors that are further north, you could probably come and get your mind blown because we got some really friendly allies that are looking for opportunities to connect, engage, and also support. So, say that to say, you all are invited and welcome to join us on the Ride for Equity 2024. We hope you'll come out and ride a full day with us.
And start training now.
Start training now. Do not do what Marlyn did.
Just call Beth on
Only I can pull that off, by the way.
You might be right.
If you do what Marlyn did, Ken's not gonna let you out the car.
You standing there.
Marlyn broke free. We saw her ride with us
Don't
again all of a
always.
sudden. But no, this has been great. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you. Thank
For
you.
having a conversation with us. We thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. Please come out with us. Peace.
Okay.
Calling all cyclists, we're talking about the two-wheel pedal pushers that love a good long ride. It's the Ride for Equity kickoff from Detroit to Ferndale and back. It's the first leg of a 7-day ride from Detroit to Mackinac. To register, go to BLDrideforequity.org. This ride is to raise funds for black entrepreneurs and bring awareness to the importance of equitable funding practices. It's 7 days of biking from Detroit to Mackinac, and it all starts at the Big Ride for Equity kickoff from Detroit to Ferndale. Go to BLDrideforequity.org to register. Are you ready to ride?